Hello, everybody. It's great to be here one more time today. My name is Gary Fowler. I'm the CEO, president, founder of GSD Get Shit Done Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio located in the heart of Silicon Valley. I'm a 17-time serial entrepreneur with several unicorns under the belt. I was on the original management team at Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion, and also Eva.ai, an AI HR tech company that I co-founded with Dr. David J. We believe at GST that intellectual capacity is evenly spread around the world, but opportunities are not. So today, Simplenight presents. I have an incredible guest today, Sanjay Bhatia. Sanjay is a seven-time serial entrepreneur. He's also had some successful exits and is an investor, a traveler, an all-around good guy, and he is also a yoga instructor. So, with that, I'd like to bring my friend Sanjay on board and let's talk about personalization beyond just travel. Hi,
Hi,
Sanjay.
Sanjay. Happy Friday, Gary. How are you?
Excellent.
Excellent.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
So, I
So
want
I
to
want to
welcome
welcome
you
you
back
back
to
to
another
another exciting
episode of
episode of
Night
Personalizing.
Presents. Today, we're
Today we're
diving
diving
into
into
a
a
fantastic
fantastic
topic:
topic:
how
how
artificial
artificial
intelligence is
intelligence is
personalizing
personalizing
everyday
everyday
life
life
beyond just
beyond just
the travel
the travel
industry.
industry.
To
To
discuss this,
discuss this,
we
we
have
have
my
my
friend
friend
Sanjay,
Sanjay,
who I've
who I
introduced. And
introduced. And
thanks so
thanks so
much.
much.
It's
And
great
it's
to
great
be
to
here.
be here.
So,
So,
Sanjay, we
Sanjay, we
often
often
hear
hear
about
about
AI,
AI,
travel, and
travel, and
entertainment.
entertainment.
Could you
Could you
please
please
explain
explain
briefly
briefly
how
how
AI
AI
personalization
personalization
revolution
revolution
is
is
affecting
affecting
other
other
areas of
areas
our
of our
everyday
everyday
lives?
lives? Yeah, the latest trends are, we've started to hear about AI agents in terms of representing businesses, and it's becoming a huge part of the industry. It's becoming its own, sort of segment of the economy. Some suggest that's entering, that's going to grow to trillions of dollars. But outside of that, from the more personal side, a lot of people are starting to use AIs as mentors, advisors, and even companions. Those are some of the trends, especially with the younger generation, like Generation Alpha. We're seeing this.
And
And
we
we
often
often
hear
hear
about
about
AI and
AI and
travel and
travel and
entertainment.
entertainment.
Well, this
Well,
thing
this
is
thing is
really
really
epic.
epic.
I don't
Yeah,
know,
I
but
don't know. Yeah.
I feel
I
like
feel
I'm,
like I'm,
hiding up
hiding
in
up
the
in the
Swiss
Swiss
Alps
Alps
somewhere.
somewhere.
You're late.
Yodelay.
Could you,
Could you,
so if
so
we
if
look
we
at
look
it,
at it,
AI
AI
personalization
personalization
now
now
spans
spans
healthcare,
healthcare,
shopping,
shopping,
education,
education,
fitness,
fitness,
and
and
even
even
home
home
management.
management.
It's
It's
really
really
tailoring an
tailoring an
experience,
experience,
but,
but
you
you
know,
know,
we
we
talk
talk
about it
about it
travel and
travel and
entertainment,
entertainment,
but
but
how does
how
it
does
go
it go
down
down
through
through
in your
in your
everyday
everyday
life
life
today?
today?
Where do
Where
you
do you
see
see
AI?
AI? One of the biggest things that's already made a tremendous impact is utilizing AI as sort of a medical advisor. Now, you don't want to replace your doctor with this, but sometimes it takes, it might be, to be frank, this year I've been, my doctor's office keeps texting me about coming in for my annual physical, but then when I click the link, there's no availability. So it's like I gotta figure out a way around that. So there's a definitely a shortage of access to medicine in many many ways. So AI is becoming an incredibly successful sort of first sort of line of defense when there's a situation, at least to understand the medical condition. What are some potential solutions? I've also seen a lot of companies just in the last year make dramatic reductions to their legal expenses. And so, as a not as a legal advisor fully, but just to sort of initially do that research to see even which direction to go, rather than consulting with the attorney. So both lawyers and doctors now their jobs are safe. There's nowhere near enough of them. But what happens is now the patient or the client can go to these advisors already having a good sense of the lay of the land, the medical practice or the laws in their jurisdiction, and then you waste less time sort of just doing the consultation and you focus on the solution. And so that's just been incredibly effective as these advanced reasoning models have come in over the last 6 months or so.
AI
AI
analyzes
analyzes
data
data
from
from
wearables,
wearables,
medical
medical
histories, and
histories, and
genetics, like
genetics,
you
like you
said. You're
said.
right
You're right
about
about
personalized
personalized
health
health
because it's
because
going
it's
to
going
help
to
us
help
to
us to
get
get
better
better
faster.
faster.
The
The
predictive
predictive
diagnosis,
diagnosis,
whether or not
whether or
you're
not
going
you
to have
have
something
something
happen,
happen,
and then
and then
coming up
coming
with
up with
customized
customized
treatment to
treatment
be
to
able
be
to
able
help.
to help.
And
And
even
even
more
more
real-time
real-time
health
health
monitoring where
monitoring
you're
where you're
continuously
continuously
sensing,
sensing,
right? So
right? So
everybody's
everybody's
needs
needs
taken
taken
care of
care
on
of
a
on a
moment's
moment's
notice.
notice.
Well, what
But what
about
about
AI and
AI and
personalized
personalized
shopping?
shopping?
How's
How's
AI
AI
changing the way
changing the
we
way we
shop
shop
beyond the
beyond the
typical
typical
Amazon
Amazon
recommendations?
recommendations? Well, the one of the newest things is you've heard of SEO, right? The I was talking to a CEO of a partner company that I invested in, and he was talking about really the important thing now is called GEO, generative engine optimization. So what if someone asks a question about, okay, what's the best product? Like I was looking for webcams the other day, and so I use Perplexity for the most part. So I sort of said, "Hey, here's what I want to do. What's the best webcam?" Now, if your webcam's not showing up on that list, you're odd. Just like it's like the first front page of Google, right? So if you're not showing, so it doesn't matter if you're number 17 or 217. Like you're just not playing in the game. So that's going to start becoming more and more common with generative AI. So people use ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, Gemini. So when people are shopping now, they're going to be asking their AIs first and going to the Amazon search bar or Google search bar second. And so there's a whole field of GEO now where you want to optimize to be, and I've heard this multiple times over the past kind of month or two, where people have like, they're one of their top lead generation efforts is actually coming from generative AI.
You know, and you're right about it. The basic recommendations, AI-driven social stylists, nutrition planners, interactive shopping assistants. I mean, it's changing everything. These all hyper-customized ways based on your lifestyle. So we're taking care of the obesity at the same time. I mean, dietary restrictions. I know you talk about it all the time, right? Your different fasting, that kind of thing. But imagine having those shopping experiences so hyper personalized they're just for you, so we're not wasting time and money. Or maybe we're spending more because we have things we want, and or we don't even know we need, but we find out it's a problem.
One way I've integrated is really I use a Whoop device. It's one of the first devices with 24/7 heart rate variability. So heart rate variability is essentially about how long your heart rests between beats. So if your heart is a metronome, like da 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 da, that's fine if you're running a marathon, but you don't want that as rest. So you want it sort of like random, kind of like going with the flow. And the higher your heart rate variability, the lower your risk of cardiac disease. It's potentially even more accurate of an indicator than testing your cholesterol in some cases. And so one thing that's interesting is correlating that with weight gain and things like that. You start to be able to like order to know when to order things. So it's like, okay, I've been eating a little bit too much. I haven't been exercising enough. I haven't been sleeping enough. I need to buy this kind of food now. Or so placing an order on Uber Eats or ordering from Amazon, or restaurant recommendations. So like we're starting to get to where it can be really a true advisor, almost a parent in some ways, where it can say, okay, well, you've been sleeping well, but you haven't been exercising, and your heart rate variability is X. So those factors are incredibly accurate in determining kind of the directionality of your health, and maybe what kind of can I get away with like binging or feasting a little bit. Where I've really gotten it down is with the sleep. So what I love is I don't have to go to bed early every day, but I have to go sometimes. And it's a really accurate indicator of when that is. So you can get away with burning both ends of the candles when you do recover based on the amount of exercise or stress you've had on the days it's necessary. So that's just been a life changing experience for me to be able to know, okay, well, today's it. I don't always listen to it, but just at least knowing, all right, today's the day I got to go to bed really early, like 8:30. Other times I can stay up till midnight, no problem.
The other thing is we see is education. There's a big shift in AI where we have hyper personalized AI-driven learning. So how fast do you think it's going to come in, and how do people really take advantage of it?
With education, the challenge right now is more the sort of that idea that AI is cheating, right? Like we always have this, whether it's it was like the TI-85 calculator, back in my time, and then later it was, can you have your
That was
laptop?
a long time ago,
Can
right?
you have a
For a long time.
can you have your cell phone? Can you have your laptop with Wi-Fi? Like there's always this sort of like academic debate of whether new technologies are going to be allowed into the educational system, and they always are. It's just sort of you have to navigate what the rules are before you can do it. So if I just bring, if I'm taking the SAT and I just have ChatGPT open, I'm gonna probably make a close to perfect score. So if everyone can do that, what's the relevance of the test anymore? So that has to be navigated, but it's just a matter of time. The testing's got to change, the philosophy's got to change to adapt. And where I'm most excited is it just allows, in the world of software engineering, we've always had for the past, maybe not always, but past 20 years at least, we've always had a scarcity of software engineers, even though there's, a lot coming out of places like India. There's never enough, at least senior. So what it's allowing is more junior engineers to do more senior tasks. And for the first time ever, AI is not going to take any development jobs. It's more that, we're getting a little bit better of a balance of, you can have a healthy number of junior and senior people, and the junior people can do more senior tasks, taking the weight off the senior teams. And this is the first time I've seen that balance for nearly 20 years.
On the education side, by assessing those students' strengths and weaknesses in real time, then adapting the lessons so that the probability of success goes up. I mean, that's where it should be, right? And students can learn cooperation and can get their information out to their employees faster at their pace, to make sure that it's mastered in the way that they learn. And it's interesting because we've tried to do this for a long time, but it's really hard when you have a class of 50 students
Yeah.
and you got one teacher, right? But now we have a chance to be in a, like you said, maybe not your parents, but maybe like your grandmother that loves you, cares about you with empathy and compassion.
Yeah, the joke in medicine is we need AI in medicine because the doctors are too robotic, right?
Well, the
And so
doctors,
this is
they
also
think out of the box, right? They're like they don't have the time. You spend 15
they don't
minutes
have time.
with the doctor, and they get in there and you got a problem, and they don't have the time to really diagnose it. They've got a limited set of information. It's amazing, and it's not really their fault. The system that we have forces them to pay back the student loans, and so they got to run people through fast because they got a lot of overhead. When in reality, the person they should be working with is the patient, right? They should be able to spend like a concierge doctor. A concierge doctor spends an hour and a half every time I go in there and talk to him. And he's asking.
AI is going to do that in medicine and education. So, similar problems are happening where you have more and more students per teacher. Even though we're spending a lot on education, it's going toward different things like real estate and stuff versus students. And so there's a couple angles here. So one is AI will, for the students eager to learn, they get a one-on-one, mentor, teacher, however you want to call it, that they can work with. And then the other side of it is like you kind of don't have to need to be as educated to do a task anymore. So if you're playing a role, software engineering, or even you're at retail and you're selling a product, you have this sort of always available advisor, and your level of education doesn't have to be as strong to be effective anymore. So that's going to change a lot of things.
Now you talked about. Tell us a little bit about that wrist thing that you have. You talked about it for heart, but how do you think AI will personalize fitness and wellness?
Oh, it's already doing it. So I mean, this is an easy one. It's heart rate variability. So it has a
Now, how's
battery.
it different from this Fitbit?
The difference is heart rate variability is very compute intensive to do. This is the first real, at least the first popular device that can do the heart rate variability 24/7. I mean, your Apple Watch does it. Lots of devices do it, but they do it like sort of they spot check you. They're sampling you, but this is just continuously on. It doesn't have a screen, so it doesn't have anything else
Which
to
one is
tell.
it? I can't tell which one you point at. You got
It's
some of the Whoop and stuff.
it's this one here. It's the Whoop.
The Whoop,
Yeah,
WOOP.
yeah.
Okay.
So it's very basic. All
And
it
what does
does
it do? Does it have a screen?
There's no screen, there's no audio. It's just designed to just do one thing really well, which is measure your heart rate variability, and I think there's blood oxygen, but it's just a continuous monitor.
Now, how do you start it?
So that's actually one thing that's very innovative about it. It has there's sort of a portable battery charger. So you charge the charger, and then you kind of slide it on here, and so you don't ever take it off. So the real
Well,
innovation
but
in
when
here.
you pull it off, if you pull the battery off, how does it have battery?
No, the charger system slides onto it. So there's a battery in here and there's a battery in the charger. So you charge the charger, you stick the charger on here, it transfers the power. So it's designed so you never remove it.
And how long does it take to charge it? And how long does the charge last?
Charges, I think, in about 30-40 minutes, and then you get about 5 days out of it.
Got it. So let's get down through. So we talked about fitness. We talked about what about ethical considerations? Personalization involves deep access to personal data. What are some ethical considerations we need to keep in mind?
Oh, there's numerous ones. The biggest concern, of course, is the health. We have a huge issue with healthcare organizations denying legitimate claims right now. I mean, we know about the shooting, and it revealed a lot of stats that certain companies are really rejecting a lot of claims. There were some memes on the internet shortly after about how people are getting rejected because something is unusual, and then it's like, oh, before you question it, it's just my annual physical that's supposed to be included in every health plan that's being rejected. So we're seeing healthcare
Well,
organizations,
the annual physicals are getting
they're
rejected.
getting rejected, and they're sort of blaming AI on it. They're sort of like letting the AI do it, and saving money that way. And so that there's a I think there's very abusive practices by some industries, and this is even with the data we have today. So that needs to be I mean, I think there's sort of a regulatory environment where they get away with this. And if we don't control this and restrain this, it's going to get worse in the era of more and more data being available. So if you have things like with your car, you can get certain devices for your car where if you volunteer to get the device and have it track you, you get a discount. So I think that's the model. So like people willing to be tracked and willing to have their data show how they're healthy, have a healthy lifestyle, should get some kind of data. But anyone who's not opted into that, it should be heavily restricted, any use. And then you got to be concerned about these genetic databases that are now, part of bankrupt companies. Who's gonna buy this data, and what are they gonna do with it? So there's a lot to be concerned about.
Privacy, data ownership, transparency are constant, ethical issues. And the users really do need clear visibility over their own data, as you said. I mean, if somebody goes bankrupt and they don't have control, it's a problem. So these strong ethical guidelines to prevent the misuse and ensure the fairness and really accountability in the access, because there's so much we do that people don't even have a clue what can be pulled out. How about the thing with smart homes are no longer a futuristic idea. How's AI optimizing our domestic routines today, in your opinion? And how do these AI-driven smart homes, how can they really help us to be able to live better lives inside our house?
I have a Alexa network in my house, so I have just a lot of devices, lights, my tea kettle. So I can be in one room, and want a cup of tea. I can just say, while I'm brushing my teeth in the bathroom, I can say, hey, turn on kettle, and so it warms up. I finish brushing my teeth. I can go have my tea and mess up my teeth again right away.
Well, I don't know if that's a good thing, right?
So
Maybe just by talking to it, just to show people that you can do it. Oh, I got my keypad,
yeah, a
But
lot of it's just using voice interfaces, like not having. Also, just screen time's not good for us. So just that idea that, okay, well, I can control things with my phone, but like just not having to do it, having voice interfaces. I think also as smart glasses are evolving, we're not going to have these big, complicated, high definition displays. We'll have just very limited, simple displays, and we'll have conversational interfaces for a lot more. So it's going to evolve from these home devices to wearables, that are part of our glasses. I would love to see, many things to be done with just a watch device you can talk to, or a device in your glasses you can talk to with, and not have to, strain your eyes all the time and be distracted by all the other messaging and different things that are in our phones.
the simple things like adjusting lighting, temperature, entertainment, even security, right? Like my partner David's house, right? That with Morpheus. So really, to be able to anticipate our needs, manage the efficiency of the house, create an environment that what we like, right? You have a bad day, put some good music on. Those you like to listen to David Glass piano or Winston, George
Yeah.
Winston, as the day comes up. You know, if we look at it, what about how is AI becoming more emotionally intelligent to enhance personalization?
Well, personalization is a big aspect of what we're doing at Run Day. So, we think of the messages as snowflakes, where each one is unique. And based on the person's social profile, you craft everything to them. And, we see people just, the engagement levels just skyrocket when you get information that's tailored. Like, say you were just going to write the same themed email to 10 people and you knew them, right? You knew where they went to school, you knew kind of their personalities. You would write each email a little bit differently, right? So as AI does that, we're just going to waste a lot less time on these mass messaging exercises and tailor things to what the solution is for the problems people face, who they are, who they've worked for, the nature of their industry. And so it's really, we're seeing an enormous response rates, and just kind of gratitude, and people like really appreciating the way the AIs are focusing on what's important to them.
You're right. There's really more nuanced interactions, whether it's mental health applications, having somebody there to talk to that can help you, guide you, customer support, and makes you feel like you're wanted and cared about and help and answer questions. And then, of course, virtual assistants. So if we look about, look at the future of AI personalization, what's next?
What seems to be next is you're seeing a lot of things with the younger generations like Gen Alpha, where they're thinking of AI as a companion, in terms of like friendship and just sort of a companion, like sort of like an older student, like at a school. And so it's going to be interesting how they embrace this as they enter the workforce, where they're used to, like, they're having friend groups, and then one of the friends is an AI. And it starts out with, okay, the purpose of the AI being there is to facilitate education, but then it becomes social. So I think you're seeing interesting trends with Gen Alpha, where they're also doing things like using LinkedIn. They're too young for LinkedIn, but they get on anyway, and they're using it to bypass university education, and also they're using it as a dating app. So they're using AIs and LinkedIn and social networks, especially LinkedIn, in ways no
Wait, they're
one.
using it as a dating app?
They're getting on LinkedIn. They're lying about their age. They're trying to get internships, and like summer internships and jobs. And while they're at it, they're connecting with each other, and dating, and bypassing the dating apps that we're used to.
Oh, that's interesting. I've
Yeah,
never heard of that
it's
before.
very different. Yeah, it's very different patterns. Well, I think they see some of the toxicity around social media, and they want nothing to do with it. So they're saying, okay, well, college is kind of a mess. Social media is a mess. I don't want to deal with those things. Let me just figure out how to get my internships, get work, find clients, and then while I'm there, I'm also seeing my friends and everyone, and they're doing the same thing, and they're dating through LinkedIn, believe it or not.
That's interesting. AI is going to become much more predictive, much more proactive, and really integrated. And as, like I say, a grandmother, right, that cares about the love loop as a personal concierge. So where does this line being drawn between human and AI collaboration? So do you envision a collaborative future between AI and humans? Are we really risking our dependence on AI?
Yeah, so with Run Day, our motto is unite human and AI agents. So we're seeing, AI is sort of not even a co-pilot, but or a team member, but really as a group of interns that never quits and never sleeps. So if everyone, if every one of your people had 5 interns that would do whatever they needed to do, all those repetitive things that need to scale, and just keep up with things 24/7, that's really the reality. So if AI is not implemented in isolations. People who believe AI is going to take your job aren't usually thinking through the fact that everyone else will have it too, and you're going to have to compete with other companies. So if company A gets AI, it's not that they are going to fire half their people. It's that company B also has it. Now you got to compete in a different way at a higher level, and so everyone has to get more AI, and the companies that thrive hire more people.
AI really augment human capabilities, not really replace them. And this collaborative future that we're painting, but it really empowers individuals to make better decisions, freeing us to focus on things like creativity, at least for now. and then innovation and really relationship building. So this collaboration is interesting. But what's going to be the impact on the business? How should businesses adapt to the wave of AI personalization?
Uh, Really, it's almost elimination of these more like mass media, like mass emails, templated emails, all these types of things that, didn't respect the individual and their individuality. Those things just need to be put away because they're not going to work anymore. And things that like pay attention to who someone is, if we don't have the time for the human team to do it, whether it's a doctor or a marketer, if you don't have time to pay attention to who that customer is as an individual and as a business, then you're not going to be competitive anymore. And so you've got to leverage AI tools to do that now.
So I did a podcast and also did a keynote in California. And for each and every one of you out there, you need to go down to, if you haven't used generative AI tools, Perplexity, ChatGPT, Claude, you got to go look for those tools and learn. These tools give you superpowers. These tools give you a competitive advantage. These tools give you insight into things that you normally wouldn't be able to get insight into or wouldn't have the time to do. Take time out of your daily schedule and spend a half hour, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour looking at these tools and how to be able to make your lives more efficient. Stay informed, protect your data, as somebody says, but remain open with the extraordinary capabilities and potential that AI offers, enhancing our lives, enhancing our businesses, and helping us live longer. Something, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think this just start with what's simple. Instead of doing a Google search, get Perplexity or one of the AIs on your phone and just start using AI as an advisor, for whether you're shopping or you need a medical question, or just have like who's winning the Formula One race right now, whatever it is. Just instead of Googling it, start using AI for those situations, and you'll be surprised that they're almost like the relationship you build with AI as a companion and partner and advisor.
That's excellent. So thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule today and fantastic insights. And thanks for joining us. Thanks for all of you, to all of you, for joining us one more time. My name is Gary Fowler, and I'm the host. Stay happy, stay safe, stay healthy. And at the bottom, like and subscribe. This is almost closing in on 1 million views and over 40,000 subscribers. It's great to have you here. Let's make the world a better place. Let's use AI for good. And let's go out and figure out how we can make our world a bit better, a little bit friendlier, and a little bit nicer for all of us. Have a great week. Enjoy yourself. Sanjay, thanks for joining us again. My name is Gary Fowler. I'm the host of Simplenight Presents. Take care. Good seeing you all.